There are also the other stakeholders that operate in the industry, which are the shipping companies, which are the terminal operators. They too are keen to see that we improve on our operational efficiencies, because if we don't, that reduces the business that they're able to do. One of the complaints they have to us is that the Nigerian Ports Authority need to adhere to our own obligations. We need to ensure that the drafts are deep enough. We need to ensure that the channels are managed appropriately. We need to ensure that infrastructure on the quay walls are preserved, and the authority does its own obligations as it relates to our respective ports.
Okay, these ideas or these innovations you're bringing, are they just for the Lagos and Port Harcourt ports? Or are you looking at because there are several ports across border. I mean, there's the Calabar port and then the ports in the southeast on each and all of that. What are you bringing them into all of this?
Yes, everything we do is across the board for all our ports within the eastern and the western zone. Whatever we do is for all our ports. And as it relates to the respective requirements for efficiency and full utilization of our ports outside of Lagos port, some of the concerns we have, for example, in Calabar, is to do with the depth of the draft, which we're looking to see. Some of the dredging contracts that exist, are they functional? Did they actually do the dredging? We have the Warri ports. That is also a concern.
Would you be looking to prosecute contractors that failed?
Well, it's not, for us is to highlight that the contracts have failed, and we will prosecute. One of the reviews that we have ongoing is a review of the Calabar Channel Management Joint Venture Agreement.
I think we'll come back and highlight more on that. Let's go to Abuja. Markwe has some questions for you. Markwe.
Yes, I do. Well, it's interesting you talk about, you know, some of the things that you're still looking to do. I mean, you talk about competitiveness, which is on the bright side, but some people will say that these problems immediately stick out. First of all, the level of cargo handling, even by your predecessor, says that the first quarter of this year witnessed a lower, you know, handling compared to the first quarter of the same period in 2015. And some of these things immediately stand out. It would seem that a lot of Nigerians prefer to use other ports outside Nigeria than to use the Nigerian ports. Have you been able to find out the reason why people prefer other ports besides the Nigerian ports?
Yeah, one of the reasons people prefer other ports is to do with our pricing. Are we financially competitive? Two is the operational efficiencies. How long does it take you to bring in your goods and clear them? To enable us address these two issues, we need to do a study of the pricing regime across the West African coast, and then determine what we need to do to bring down our pricing to the extent that our pricing is high. On operational efficiencies, we've determined that, yes, we have different layers, we have forms that need to be filled, we have bureaucratic bottlenecks that exist, which we need to address across agencies of government that operate in the ports. We have 6 agencies of government that operate in the port, but they need to all come together and function within an institutional platform that would enable an entity come in and deal with them in one platform, which is the Single Windows project.
Well, you talked about the Single Windows project already, yes. But I remember that when the Single Windows project was launched, it was launched with plenty of fanfare, and one would have thought that by now it should have been up and running, and, you know, perhaps improvements is what we're looking at right now. But that to hear that we're still not operating it as we should, you know, raises questions as to the sincerity of when it was brought up.
Well, the Nigerian Ports Authority has not launched a Single Windows project. The Single Windows project that might have been launched might have been done by the Nigerian Customs Service, but National Single Windows is having the agencies of government beyond individuals. But for Nigerian Customs, Nigerian Ports Authority to operate in such a way, there's synergy, whereby if you come and you want to make a payment, you log into one platform and you're able to make the payment for Nigerian Customs, Nigerian Ports Authority, and every other entity within that platform, and you clear your goods and exit. That is what the National Single Windows is about, and that has not been done, that has not been commissioned. There's a current initiative now, as I said, led by the Vice President, whereby all of us, all the entities that operate in the ports, are sitting down together.
Has there been a test run of that platform?
No, that platform has not been actualized. It's not, it's still work in progress. The framework was submitted. My framework from Nigerian Ports Authority was submitted yesterday. We have our respective IT infrastructure, but it doesn't connect to any of the other agencies of government. The operational efficiency is to ensure there is connection across the agencies that operate.
How soon are we likely to see that come to fruition? Because as Mark observed, and many people also observed, that, hey, come on, it's better to do business outside Nigeria. Yes. I'll rather go to Cotonou. That is why a lot of people are kicking against the government's closure of that access. If I bring it to your ports and it takes almost forever, yes, and I pay more money, then I think it doesn't make business sense. Good business sense for me to come back home and patronize your ports when I know that somewhere else is quite better for me.
Yes, that is one of the, we're looking at a timeline of the first quarter 2017. This, I said, is beyond any of our agencies. It's a national interest, and all of us need to understand how critical it is for Nigeria to have that single windows. It's not for Nigerian Ports Authority to hold on to their own little area and say, I have a single windows, or I'm doing it. It's not effective and efficient if it doesn't cut across the other agencies of government that operate in the ports.
Mark,
now, I'm sure you must have met with stakeholders in the industry. I mean, the shippers, the importers, those who have to use the ports generally. And we've seen that some of the issues they're raising is the national automotive policy, the fish quota system, the hike in rice import duty, and the CBN policy, which they say, well, I think that is still on now, which excludes 41 items from accessing foreign exchange through the official window. Those are some of the issues that they wanted you to take a look at. Have you been able to, take a look at any of these policies?
Yes, we're looking at the policies. When you look at the automobile policy, I've discussed the need to have a review to see how effective it has been. While we're keen to have traffic come into our ports, it's important for us to also know that our industries need to grow. Nigerian economy, as relates to assembling, manufacturing of automobiles, needs to be developed. So we have to find a middle ground. The existing policy, how far have we gone? The assembling plants and manufacturing, are they assembling? Are they manufacturing? How are they able to meet the demands of Nigeria? The assembled cars, are they able to address the concerns and the needs for Nigerians? How many Nigerians can afford these cars that are being assembled in Nigeria? So in assessing that, that would now enable the government to determine, do we need to review this policy? How effective and successful has it been in its implementation over the 2-year period? These are some of the things we need to do, while being mindful of the fact that Nigeria as a nation needs to support and promote the manufacture and assembling of automobiles in the country. This is the same thing that applies to the agri-produce. We need to also stimulate our own agricultural industry while striking a balance of what comes in and what goes out. My role in Ports Authority is to ensure that there is traffic coming to the ports, but I'm mindful of that as I look to see that our economy needs to grow as it relates to agri-production, as it relates to export, as it relates to assembling and manufacturing of
okay, we'll come back, and when we come back, we'll look at so many other issues, plus what you also observed about export leaving the country,
yes,
because we've also spoken to so many people in doing business here, and they'll tell you that they have more headaches taking things outside Nigeria than bringing them in. Well, that'll be after now. Stay with us.